Did you read that title? Yeah, you read the title. We'll talk about it here right after this. Stay tuned. Yes. Good morning. How's everybody doing? It is April 1st, the 92nd day of the year. So hope all is well, everybody. Let's get rid of that. If you're looking at the Midwest, man, you're looking at some possible storms. Let's get that up there. And you're also looking at some winter weather as well. So we'll get some low boards up here. We're going to check volumes. The volumes Friday were horrible. And everybody's like, well, I guess Good Friday is more of a holiday than we thought. So it was very interesting to see. That took me by surprise. You know, usually it takes a little bit for me to be surprised, but that one got me. And then, of course, you probably saw the video title. And, oh, yeah, I've got a couple of emails I got to cover as well. So let's, so anyways, let's share the screen real quick. DAT takes the uncertainty out of freight. And, of course, I got the circle of death going on here. Meanwhile, 1, 2, 3's up and running. Look at that. Look at that. There is no such thing as uncertainty out of freight, right? So I guess we're not going to look at DAT volumes. So we'll let that circle of death kind of do its thing. Maybe it's just this. Let me try this here. Log in. Desktop. Yeah, we're in. Cool. And then let me get my email up here as well. I emailed myself some articles, and we shall read them. Yeah, there it is. All right. We got it up here. So, let's see. But let's look at it. Let's take a look at the weather here real quick, and see what you guys and gals are in for. Let's see. Let's move that over. Of course, if you're on I-40, man, you're going to hit some snow going through New Mexico and Arizona. But But one thing that this map is not showing is if any other, like, if you're watching, here's a circle. It's going to go from Oklahoma to St. Louis. That there's a big oval there. They're supposed to hit some major storms tonight, including my area, and they're actually calling for big hail and 10% of EF2 or larger on the tornado spectrum. So it's going to get interesting this evening. So if you're going through this area, be very careful. Up here in Nebraska and South Dakota, you got some winter storm warnings going on. And then you got some advisories up here in the mountains of New Mexico. And then Texas is windy and hot, and not hot, but fire hazards going on in Texas there on the western side. So, let's see. Load ratios, see what load counts are looking like. Yeah, everything's woken back up, so that's good. Alabama looks good. Arkansas looks good. Arizona's almost even. Arizona's been a weird place here lately. More load volumes in the van than in previous. Look at California, though, 1335, 1704. So if they're not paying you to go into California, then don't even bother. Georgia has got more out than in. Georgia has the highest volume right now. 1801 out, 1539 in. Whereas Illinois got 1305 out, 1294 in. Indiana 758 out, or 758 in and 1058 out. So Missouri's not too bad, 506 in, 635 out. And then Ohio, it's got 1479 coming out, 1191 in. So Georgia actually has more loads than Ohio. That's been the case for a while. Let's see what Florida's doing. Florida's got 1806 going in and 955 coming out, so it's always lopsided, but it's interesting to see the load volumes coming out. PA's got more in than out, and then Tennessee looks good, 785 in, 1,000 out. Texas is 2862 going in and 3106 coming out, so you might get a better rate coming out of Texas than you normally would. Oh, but they don't show the interstate on these. So, anyways, April Fools, you guys should know that's what today is. And I normally don't partake in that, but no, I'm not buying a truck. That was an April Fool's joke. So there you go. Wonder how much hate mail I'll get for that one. So, TJ, good morning. Justin Axberg, good morning, everyone. Thanks for your membership. Same with you, TJ. Desert Okie Pam, good morning. Gary Cook, good morning. Happy April Fool's Day, yes. I always dreaded working this day. There was a factory I was working at where they would do stuff like, I don't know, glue your lunchbox to your table, and they would do something to your welding lead that would make it kind of blow up in your face. It was kind of dangerous to work on April Fool's Day. Gen Z Trucking, good morning. Hope all is well with you. Good morning from Yerington, Nevada, says Randy. Morning Snorelord in chat says Old School Trucking. DIY Semi, good to see you. Also is a member, same thing with Old School Trucking and Gen Z. Thank you for your memberships, guys. Trucking with T-Bone, good morning. Hope you're well. Missouri Anywhere today. What happened to your dedicated thing? Quick hit. Good morning. Oh, you probably just want to see. You're not asking me to dispatch you right now. Think of getting into flatbed. There's lots of metal around me. Currently dry van only, but figure having two options would make it more likely I stay busy. What do you think? Oh, that's always a loaded question. Let me get a sip of coffee while I ponder that for a minute. I will use this opportunity to say that, like trucking, Jeffrey Like has a flatbed for sale with all the gear. So I would talk to him to see if he's interested in selling it to you. Number two, you're looking at an investment. You're looking at investment in equipment, and you're also looking at an investment in education. Because if you don't have any flatbed experience, you can't just go out and start doing it. You have to have some training. So what does that look like? There are courses out there that you can take. Whatever company you're signed on with, they could train you. There is a learning curve. And so when it comes to switching platforms, can you afford the learning curve? You know, I've seen in the past a lot of Schneider finance trucks. They leave Schneider and they come into the spot market, and there's a learning curve to dispatching yourself with brokered loads. And it becomes extremely difficult with the high cost of the SFI trucks to withstand the learning curve. You know, in other words, you're going to take a loss for a minute. So 3 things, I've talked about this before, 3 things that puts people out of business. You know, usually 2 out of 3 will do it, but 3 out of 3 guarantees it. Number 1, you're starting a new business you know nothing about. If you don't have any experience with flatbed, you know, you're going to have to learn. Number 2, you put yourself in debt. If it creates debt and you're going into something you don't know much about, that could hurt. And then 3 is no money coming in. Now, if you're going into flatbed and you got money coming in, that's good. But I know people that go into debt, start a new business venture, and have no money coming in, and that's the tough hurdle that all businesses have to go through. You know, it's not like, you know, when you're a company driver and you decide to buy a truck, you're still doing something you know how to do. Yeah, there's a learning curve, and yeah, you're going into debt, but at least you got money coming in while you're learning. And so that would be the advantage. But it's not like if I decided to go out and, like, I was talking about this with somebody yesterday about, there was a time where I thought about starting my own mobile welding business, and the amount of money it would take to start that up, and then you know, my lack of knowledge of, at that time, owning a truck, the lack of knowledge of owning all the mobile welding equipment, the lack of knowledge on some metals that I've never welded, or situations that I haven't welded. You know, it was just too costly to take that risk. You know, whereas, you know, buying a truck was a no-brainer. As far as, like, it wasn't a no-brainer. There was a lot of thought to it, but, you know, because I've already experienced in driving a truck. So, and then also keep in mind that flatbed is very seasonal. And if you do, get a truck that can haul 46,000, 47,000 on the flatbed, because, you know, the Southeast is where a lot of money is. And a lot of it's lumber. You got to be able to tarp. You're going to need the lumber tarps. You know, that's one way to make money. If you can't just jump into doing equipment, because that's a bigger learning curve, and not a lot of carriers will let you do that. So, Buck Brown, Georgia on my mind. Hello, folks. Grease under the windshield wipers was the worst prank I got played on myself. That was fun to find when it started raining. Gave me a good laugh for sure. Not only that, but it's dangerous. My truck and trailer were both in the shop last week. Truck was in for emissions issues. Imagine that. They didn't get done with them till Friday afternoon. By that point, there wasn't much left. No, there wasn't. Friday was a dead day. My email did not go off once on Friday. Wheelburner says, my truck's still in the shop for emissions issue issues, Invader. Yeah, we talked about that on Friday. Not you particularly, Wilburner, but also thank you for your membership. Excuse me. Hold on. But we were talking about the emissions and how it's probably more costly than all the other maintenance combined. Good morning, Steve. Pickup truck repay for me. I imagine you meant replay, but no, it's April Fool's. Think of what today is. So, speaking of Canadians, it's since I'm being bombarded with them, I've got an article here. So let me see if I can find this article. Man. Do. Why is the... Okay. I emailed me a link, and it's not even in the link. Open link. There we go. All righty. Ghost Cat, are you awake yet? Do you know anything about intraday permits? If I have intrastate authority, do I need intraday permits? There's a lot of misleading info on the subject. I have never heard of intraday permits. Are you talking about intrastate? Because you spelled... Oh, if you have interstate... Are you talking about intrastate, Ghost Cat? Interstate. Okay. Yeah. I guess it just depends on the state that you're in. I mean, you like that's not my forte, but I know that like Missouri, I would have intrastate if I got my authority out of Missouri. But if I'm an outside carrier, I need intrastate authority to run in Missouri. There's a great website called AAA Compliance, and they could help out with all of that. I've got a list of states that require intrastate, and it's a pretty decent list. I've got that list. I got it from a friend of mine. So it's kind of a quick reference. But like, yeah, so I mean, if you're out of the state that you're in, yeah, you can do intrastate, but like if you're a carrier in Missouri and you want to do like from a load from Tulsa, Oklahoma City, you've got to have intrastate in Oklahoma. But there's a great website called AAAcompliance.com. Let's see if I can find it here. My internet's being slow. All right, so let's share the screen here. This is the website you want. So let me put this in the chat here for you guys. And what it does is it has the map, and you can hover over the map. And then it has the form that you need. So here's Texas. So you just hover over the state, and it will tell you which ones. And it'll do this on your mobile phone as well. Let's take a look. Arkansas. And then some are gray. When it comes to Arkansas, it's kind of a gray area. Then, some states enforce it, some states don't. Like you don't need it for Florida, but you do need it for Georgia. So, but it's got access to all the forms and everything. So, check out that website. If I had my own authority, this is what I would look at. I just go by. Now, here at Like Trucking, we have several intrastates. We have Texas, we have Pennsylvania, we have Missouri. I know Jeff was working on Illinois. I don't know if we have that. I know we have for Ohio. And trying to think. What was the other one we have? If Jeff's in here, he can let us know. But Wisconsin. That's another one we have it for. So and I believe. Let me look here. Yeah, I don't know if we got Illinois yet or not. I know we got Wisconsin, Ohio, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Texas. And out of all those, the Pennsylvania and Texas are the most valuable because they're such big states that you can pretty much work inside of and do okay with. When I was running my truck, I wish we had Oklahoma because there was a few loads that would have paid, instead of deadheading, 300 miles out of Oklahoma, I could have done a quick 150 miler inside Oklahoma and got my things covered. So, but yeah, I would. This is your website. Links in the chat there. So, Randy says 1.5 hours south of Reno, US 95, middle of nowhere. Yet you've got a signal, so that's good. That's good. WCF says, dang, just got covered. Got a load from Missouri to Oklahoma for $2.50 a mile with the load coming back for $1.30 a mile. I'm not going to complain. Wheel burner, that sucks. My DPF filter had to be cleaned. It was so clogged it was black, but thankfully it didn't have to be baked. Supposedly it was clogged due to an exhaust leak. There you go. And then there's the link of the AAA compliance from me, little old me. All right, so anyways, let's take a look at this. Big shipping company files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. It goes on about how, COVID, blah, 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 blah. Number of regional carriers, blah, blah, blah. Talk about Chapter 15. It's a lesser-used type of bankruptcy designed to protect foreign companies from operating in the United States. Why? Why are they talking about that? Because Pride Group, a family-owned trucking company, has its headquarters in Mississauga, Ontario, near Toronto, but operates in the U.S. as well. We are a privately held, diversified group of subsidiaries. Okay, we know what you are. But anyways, Pride Group has filed bankruptcy. And they're trying to get rid of all their assets there. Pride Group has a complicated array of holdings that includes 16 transport companies, 45 real estate holding companies, and 10 other holding companies founded and controlled by, I'm not even going to attempt to butcher that name. The company is roughly $2 billion in debt, and the company blames the current freight market for its troubles. Let that sink in for a minute. They have $2 billion with a B dollars in debt. But it's the current freight market that's got them jacked up. I believe there was a snowball at one point that they weren't paying attention to that's now a big, huge boulder. So the company, which controls 20,000 trucks, was profitable until the pandemic. So they weren't able to profit off the post-pandemic rates that we were getting. So evidently there's a few wrong moves that were made, but what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? So let's get rid of that article. What was the other article? I just shut off my email. I am not a professional, which is why I only got like 12 people in here. All right, so let's take a look at I think I read this before. What's the date of this? February 2024 market update. That's old news. So I found this article. OIDA sends me an article every month. And this one talks about is the freight market stabilizing, and they don't ever answer it. They just show you some numbers and stats, and like, oh, it could be better, it could be worse, or it could get better, it could get worse. Like, they don't know. Nobody knows. That's why it's funny when DAT, their opening thing says, we take the uncertainty out of freight. There is no such thing as uncertainty in freight, other than freight does need to be moved. So let's bring the 1, 2, 3 back up here. And then get rid of that. All right. You guys can stare at the map while I read some more comments. TJ says $2 billion. Holy moly. Yep. Does that group also own Pride Truck Sales? Probably. Maybe. I don't know. I know this company very, very well, and I know several of the people that work there. This company has been mismanaged for the last 5 years. Yes. But it's easier to say we're going to blame it on the freight market, because I know so many people that have gone out of business in the last 2 years that will blame the freight market. They'll blame fuel prices. They'll go out and buy a 5 mile per hour, fuel mileage truck, or 5 mile per hour, 5 miles per gallon. Sorry, I don't know how to talk. And then complain that fuel prices took them out. Or their cost of operation is like $3 a mile, and they're going to blame the freight market. Think about the people that went out of business when the rates were really good. And some people just bow out gracefully. They don't care. They just, I'm not into doing this anymore, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you employ a ton of people, you kind of have, I don't know. That's why, people wanted me to lease purchase out my truck. There was a time where I thought about having my own authority and then having trucks under me, whether as a company drivers or, 1099 or lease purchase operators. And I decided that wasn't for me. And more power to the people that are willing and brave enough to do that, because that's just not me. I could be a brave person, but not when it comes to that, because there's too many variable factors. Because not only you could have the best truck setups, you can have the best freight, you can have the most concrete contracts, which there's no such thing, but let's say I have that, and you still got to deal with the drivers. Are they going to take care of your truck? There are lease operators that are lease purchasing their truck that trash their trucks. That don't take care of them. They can't afford to take care of them. And most people that have the money or the credit to stand on their own 2 feet, they're going to do that. They're not going to. There's a lot of risk of putting someone with a negative credit score in a truck. You're giving them the keys to, hundreds of thousands of dollars of vehicles, and you're hoping for the best. And to me, that's, I'll leave that to Schneider and Schneider and Prime and all that. I'll leave that to them. I like sleeping at night. So, It sounds like some heads took the money and ran with it. Right. Well, I mean, everybody remembers the Arrow, right? The Arrow company, trucking company, that, the guy was just basically using the trucking company as an open checkbook, you know? So, and that's one of the biggest challenges for a carrier. I don't care if you're a 5-truck carrier or a 2-truck carrier or a 20,000 truck carrier. If you lose connection with your drivers, then you're done. You're going to have a high turnover rate. And turnover rates become expensive. It's hard enough to stay in this business. I mean, think about the driver retention problem we have now. And then a lot of your veteran truck drivers say, hey, go in, do it for 10 years and get out. Make as much money as you can for 10 years or 5 years and then get out. That there's no like even me, I knew I didn't want to die in the truck. I knew I didn't want to retire. I didn't want to be 80 years old and still out here driving a truck. I had a plan to get out. Now I'm second generation, love trucking, but I knew I wasn't something I was wanting to do forever. And so turnover is a huge issue. And then so for a company like Arrow to sit there and completely disregard their drivers, which is what created the open checkbook, quote unquote, that they had. Drivers are the lowest on the totem pole when it comes to how companies treat them. They're the ones that bring in the revenue, but yet they're the ones that are most mistreated. So you got to find a company where the company actually cares about the drivers. So, David Edwards, good morning. Moet, good morning, Steve. Been a minute. Did you purchase a new truck? Just pop in. It's an April Fool's joke, so I'm sorry to disappoint anybody, but there you go. STTN, good morning, sir. Pop Tart, gone trucking. Hey, y'all. Old school trucking, high fuel prices and low prices on freight. It might be some factors of why companies have been going out of business. Yes. Fuel prices made some of the loads that I used to do not profitable anymore. Fuel prices and the lower rates made all the short stuff around here extremely less profitable because they were reduced by 60% in some cases. Loads that used to pay me $1,100-$1,200 in one shot were now down to $450, $550, $650 if I can catch them on a good day. Luckily for me, there was a time where Jeff had me go get a trailer in Abilene, Texas. And I made, Jeff paid for my fuel and then plus a flat rate to go get that trailer. And it was right before Easter. So he didn't want me to miss out Easter with my family, so just deadhead back. And it was a good thing he said that because I would have had to call him and say, well, I can't load this trailer because it was trashed. I mean, literally trashed. The guy was hauling trash with it and never cleaned it out. And, of course, he's no longer, at trucking. But so now I was doing that guy a favor by coming to Texas to pick it up because eventually he needed to go up to Michigan. But so he paid for some fuel. Jeff paid for my fuel. And I still, I was thinking, I did the math. After fuel, if I would have paid for fuel, would I have made enough money off of this load? And the answer was no. And my operation costs were fairly lower than say a Snyder Finance guy or whatever. So I knew that was going to be the beginning to the end of a lot of people, just seeing that. And that's when I concentrate on trying to dispatch and help others trying to manage this, this market that we were entering in with the high fuel and the lower prices. I thought I was better serving there than trying to be out there for, $200 a day, trying to get people, above that. So that's so, but to the tune of $2 billion, at some point, you got to figure it out, right? At some point, you got to go, you know what? This ain't working. And as Will Burner said, Pride Transport mismanaged for the last 5 years, and that mismanagement, that's what creates a $2 billion deficit. So, oh, wow, I'm reading all the comments, and it reminds me of why I don't finance fuel and why we remove the DPF systems. All the comments lets me know that we are doing it right. There's 100 ways to do this business, if not 1,000. But the bottom line, you have to go back to basics. If the DPF system is expensive, you got to account for that. Everybody's all, you got to do your oil samples, and you got to make sure the engine can get up to 1 million miles, and then you're going to get everybody's focused on that. When it's the other stuff that will take you out. It's the DPF systems. It's the, turbos, which are now $10,000, to fix. It's like anytime you get out of the shop for less than $1,000, you feel like you've won the lottery. And, with these new trucks being, having all these recalls and everybody relying on warranty work, well, now it's going into a shop is a bit of a challenge. And so what do the big trucking companies do? They have their own shops. They have their own mechanics. So they can do all the other stuff and maybe save a dime on that. So, but look, it is a challenge, but when a big company like Pride is struggling, to the tune of $2 billion with the B, that's mismanagement. And they're going to sit there and blame it. They're going to sit there and blame the freight market. Do you see Schneider crying about the freight market? Do you see J.B. Hunt crying about the freight market? Do you see Swift crying about the freight market? Are they taking losses? Probably. So they're going to take measures to keep those losses at a minimum. And it's as simple as that. Find the companies, like if you're a single truck owner operator right now, okay? Find the people that are doing it correctly. Find the people that are being successful right now in this market. Talk to them. Learn from them. Maybe they'll tell you, maybe they won't. And the ones that are truly, really successful they're the quietest person in the room. They're quietly watching this video. They've figured it out, and they're not going to tell you. That's just how it is. And the freight market is improving here and there. The Baltimore Bridge thing is changed some dynamics in the Northeast. And so you got to be aware of these things. Adam says Swift or J.B. Hunt take a tax advantage off their losses too. Right, because they've been in the game so long, they know how to manipulate the system, and that's what big companies do. They manipulate the system to their benefit. And does it make it right? No. But it's business. Business doesn't care about your feelings, right? So you got to figure out your own. See, here's the thing. If you're sitting at a truck stop and you quote unquote can't find a load and you sit for 4 days, you don't have a prayer's chance when you're going up against people and companies that know how to utilize and manipulate the system. That's how much on your A game you got to be. Or if you're not on your A game, you got to be at least willing to learn and work. People have called me and said, hey, what would you be doing right now if you had your truck and that was all you were relying on? What would your strategy be? Well, my wife wouldn't like the strategy very much because I would be out and working, going into areas that I wasn't used to, trying to find those multi-stop loads that no one else wants to do. If I found some dedicated account with scrap paper, that's going to trash the trailer, I would do that for a little bit until I figured something else out. That there's always a way. There's always something to be moved. And if I was losing too much money on each load, then I'd have to figure something else out. But I would know my numbers to know when that was happening. That's what you do. And you got people that can't even that don't even they 100% rely on broker freight, but yet they're mad and they're blaming the brokers for their losses. And I'm here to tell you that there's a lot of freight that doesn't move without brokers. There's a lot of deals, a lot of contracts that are written between trucking companies and shippers and receivers on the golf courses, at luncheons, at seminars. There are connections. There's networking done. And again, the quietest people in the room are probably the most powerful. And these big companies make changes. Like James G. just said, Schneider made changes. Didn't they reduce their operations in Canada? Yes. I remember talking to some of them old school Schneider guys. Shannon, good morning. I got your pictures last night of the grandkids. Good deal. Looks like you guys had a lot of fun. Celadon is another carrier that went out of business in recent years due to the higher-ups mismanaging their books. Right. Celadon was big. They also had they had a pretty gnarly leasing company, too. And I talked to so many drivers that had such a bad experience with their leasing company. No surprise that they go out, right? Adam, we all do that. They just do it on a massive scale, right? Know the system, Salute, Tolga. What's up? But what are you going to do, right? So if you choose to run the spot market and you enjoy the hunt of broker freight, I'm here to help you. If you choose to do it differently, then more power to you. And it can be done. Here's another thing. You can do brokered freight without needing the low board. How about that? That's actually possible. I've done it. Good paying freight, too. All right. But you know what? I would have probably 2 contracts right now, but I couldn't get enough drivers to dedicate themselves to it. So, because I don't own their trucks. I don't own their business. I can't be the guy that writes their check and say, "Hey, this is what you're doing this week." I can't do that. So guess what? The person that can got that contract. So, all right. Let's put this on Van. 48065 if you want to try out the 123 low board for yourself, 30 days for free. There's some great tools. Let's see. Arizona was green last week. This week it's yellow. Let's take a look at Missouri. Actually, let's take a look at Georgia since Georgia's so high on volume. Let's see what's coming out. So sort this by highest rate. This will be your long-haul freight mostly. We're still looking at $1.70s to go up to Oregon and Washington, $1.50, $4,300, $1.88 to go to Salt Lake. That's why I would do Georgia to Missouri and then Missouri to Salt Lake. That two-step will probably make you a little bit more money per mile. A lot of stuff going west out of Georgia. That's the higher. Okay, here we go. Alpharetta, Georgia to Pueblo, Colorado. Then take your hit out of Pueblo. Now let's pretend I lived in Pueblo. I would save this load. Even though it's for April 2nd to April 4th, let's say that I'm in Georgia and I need somebody to call. I would try calling this paper product, so that's usually a steady load. But now you've got the contact information. Now you can call this person the next time you're in Georgia if you live in Pueblo, Colorado. And say, hey, do you happen to have one of those? Can I be put on your email list? So I saved that load. $1.13 to go to Ontario, California. Let's take a look at this load. It says truckload on it. $61 below my cost per day. Cargo Chief's got it at 31, so Cargo Chief's not much better. So it's been going for $1.38. They're obviously trying to drive the rate down a little bit. It's paper, 15,000 pounds, but still. If your costs are $1.80 a mile, guess what? This load's not going to be that great. That's a long time to take a loss like that. You do it once, fine. Have a month like that, maybe okay, but you can't do it consistently forever. Here we go, $2,500 to go from Marietta to Odessa. Now, Odessa is kind of a dead end, but they're paying $2.19 a mile. Let's see what's going on with this. 74% above cost per day. They're at 25. Cargo Chief's got it at 22. It's hazmat. That's why. There you go. Always something when the rate is that much higher than what the other posted rates are. Here's another one. Albany, Georgia to Green Bay. Let's take a look at this one because Wisconsin's a good spot. So to go from Georgia to Wisconsin for above $2 a mile in van, that's kind of a rare. So let's see what's going on with this. Multiple stop, hazmat, what is it? Nope, doesn't say. Or it just might have to move. It picks up tomorrow, delivers Thursday. I haven't switched my calendar yet, so. But they're way above. But, you know, with the freight volumes coming out of Georgia, they might have to have it up there to get it moved. So that would be the load I would do right there. Albany to Green Bay, because Wisconsin's a good spot. Now, let's look at inbound Georgia. Let's see what the highest paying stuff going inbound Georgia is. Well, the highest overall rate is $4,300 coming out of Nevada. So they're not paying to go into the West, and they're not paying to come out of the West. That's just how it is. Yeah, see, Los Banos, California to Lithia Springs, Georgia. $1.45 a mile. So if you got $1.13 to go from Georgia to California, and then $1.45 to come out of California to go to Lithia Springs, Georgia, what sense does that make to me if my costs are $1.80 a mile? So you're taking now, if let's say you're a cost per day guy, 62% below cost per day. What was the other one? 61%. So can you consistently take 62% loss each day doing this load to California and back? Nope. I don't care who you are. Schneider wouldn't do that. You don't become a Schneider by doing that. This is what you're up against. This is what you've got to figure out. So if I owned the truck, I wouldn't be doing that. Now let's do this by the rate per mile. Here's one paying $4 a mile out of Florida. Let's take a look at that one. This is a typo. Picking up South Bay, Florida to Lithia Springs, Georgia. 709, or I'm sorry. They've got 2450 on it. So my guess is that food grade trailer do not pay lumpers, tracking required. So this is probably meant to be $450 or $245. I don't know. It might be like double of what Cargo Chief is saying, but there's something off with that load. But that's a great rate per day if that's legit. And rate per mile. That's a home run load there. A lot of Tennessee to Georgia. $2 and $3 a mile. Usually about $550. Here's some for $700. Now we're getting into the $600. A lot of $600, $700 stuff. So if your cost per day is like $500, and you got your own authority, $700 a day, that could do it. Here we go. Columbus, Mississippi to Tifton, Georgia. This one just got posted. Picks up tomorrow. See what the details are on this. Picks up tomorrow at 6 a.m. It's got 2 stops, 2 deliveries in Tipton. But it all delivers the next day. So if you can get $1,000 for that, and if the 2 stops are in Tipton, the distance is not going to be much better, not much different than that 361 miles. So you're probably looking at 400 miles. If you're a 80-20 company, you're getting 800 for that minus fuel. 40,000 pounds. We don't know, freight of all kinds. We don't know what that is, but that's going to be considerably more. See, 61% above cost per day. So you're better off doing like a bunch of these in a row over that California and back. Here's Kalamazoo, Michigan to Beaufort, Georgia. $2.69 a mile, $2,002. Let's take a look at this one. Also picks up tomorrow. Is it hazmat? Yep, it's hazmat. 53% above cost per day. Well, my cost per day would be different if I was hauling hazmat because insurance would be different, requirements would be different, operating costs would be different. Here's Elgin, South Carolina to Tifton, Georgia, $850. What I'm finding is that Tennessee to Georgia is usually a good lane. And then coming back out of Georgia when the volumes are high like they are, you can actually do okay on your rate per day. 34% above cost per day. Picks up today at 8 a.m., so it's an hour late. So better hope you're working. 317 miles, 10,000 pounds. Looks like a pretty easy run. If you call on this and you tell them I could be there in half an hour, of course, obviously you're picking up later. You need to have them put on the rate con that this is a work-in. And you won't probably get detention for it on the pickup, but you don't want those fines that a lot of them are putting on the rate cons now. So you need to communicate with the broker, hey, do you have this covered yet? No. Well, I noticed it's supposed to pick up at 8. Will they work me in? Yes. Okay, make sure that is presented on the rate con so I don't get a fine for, docked for $250, because it's considered quote-unquote late with your tracking app that doesn't differentiate that. So you have to pay attention to that. You have to cover your butt. CYB. They're at 850. Cargo she's got at 934. Depending on how desperate they are, you might get them up to 9. 975. I would try 1,000 on this, and they'll probably come down on that. Here's another one just posted for the 14th of May, so we're not even going to look at that. Now check this out, though. Okay, Circle Logistics is posting this for May 14th. We just started April. Okay? They don't even have an appointment time. 12:01. I doubt that's the appointment time. They want to get this covered ASAP so they don't have to pay whatever the market rate's going to be a month and a half from now. Right? It's in their best interest to cover this right now. So they can go to the customer and go, yeah, we've got 20 of your loads covered all the way up to May 14th at this price. So this is a waste of posting space, I think. I don't even look at that. So let's take a look at Missouri. Let's see what's coming out of Missouri. For Don here. Adam Gallagher, Wilmer, but you can't choose to take losses off trucks 6 months of the year, no paycheck, and yeah. Jose, I live in Florida. I stay mad 24/7. Got me a little dedicated Holland beer, and I hate Holland beer. And the broker called me. I wasn't looking for it. Yeah, they're seeking out. Look, here's one of the first signs I look for on freight increase. Okay, it is when they are reaching out to you. They're giving you the cold calls. They're giving you the cold emails. And they don't want to post it on the board. They want to see if they can keep their rates low by not falling to the market trends. And that usually tells me that there's about to be an uptick in freight. DIY's got feline syphilis. Prayers for you, my friend. Total says, good morning, Adam. I know that load, that's 550 to Georgia. Yeah. Rate cons, that's right, Snorelord. Cover your butts, y'all smart man. I've never been accused of being smart. I quit Walmart to run the spot market. April Fools. I got to get my cows mooing. They're hungry. Bye, y'all. I watched some event. It was like in somewhere in the northern Europe where they let the cows out for the first time of the season, and they're all like bouncing around like dogs. Man, it was cute to watch. I'm thinking, man, that ribeye sure is happy. Good coffee this morning. If I don't say so myself. All right, so let's look at the highest paying load coming out of Missouri. Let's see where it's going. Highest rate, boink. $1.75 to go to Sumner, Washington. $3,600. So let's take a look at the rate per day on that one. That picks up, doesn't pick up till, hold on a second. I'm going to fix this calendar. Friday. Doesn't pick up till Friday. And it delivers Tuesday. 13% above cost per day. So I could take this low, but what if you have a higher cost per day? My cost per day is set at $358. That's based on an old number that I did. Palletized consumer goods. Cargo Chief's got it at 42, so they're a little bit low for that. I would want a little bit more because you're going to take your hit out of Washington. So you come down here and you look at Washington anywhere. So you click on that. 3 loads. And your highest paying loads are going to go to, per mile, are going to go to Washington or Oregon. Do I need Interstate in Washington? According to my list, yes, you do. So yeah, just know what you're getting into, and that's what this load board does. It helps you know what you're kind of getting into. Or, yeah, St. Charles, Bloomington, California. No, we won't even look at that. Bunch of those. A ton of these. St. Charles to Bloomington for every day of the week, seems like. Looks like 3 a day if you keep scrolling. Let's take a look at the one that's for today. $1.80 a mile to go out to California. That's, as we've been seeing, that's kind of rare. So let's take a look at this. Oh, May 1st. Never mind. 16% above my cost per day. 5,200 pounds. Carts. Shopping carts. If that's truly shopping carts, that's going to be a little bit different. That might be a multi-stopper. So, which might explain the $1.80 a mile, right? So obviously there's a shopping cart factory in St. Charles, Missouri. So that might be something I might look into. So here's what I do. I go to PLS. And I'm going to save this load and save this contact info. I'm gonna contact Team MB Jax, which is probably Jacksonville. Say, hey man, what's up with these? What's up with these loads? Now the cool thing about shopping carts, that was my MO. That was my bread and butter at Landstar. I love shopping cart loads. The only thing I didn't like about, well, it was kind of a love-hate relationship with shopping carts. One thing I did not like about it was that there was not one, wait, I take it back. There's only one time that a Walmart store was happy that I was there. I delivered a lot of Walmart shopping carts throughout the country. I remember showing up over Father's Day weekend. I was taking the sacrifices there. And, by working that weekend, when my kids were little, kind of regret that now. And was delivering on a Monday in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I sat at the Walmart, and the store manager came up to me and he goes, and I noticed he was the store manager. I said, hey, do you care if I sleep out here tonight? He's like, are you delivering here? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, what do you have? I said, well, shopping carts. He's like, you want to deliver them now? Yeah. He goes, after that, you can stay here anyways. So that was the only time. Every other time, if looks could kill, I'd be dead. I mean, they literally do not want you in there. And so that was every single time here's, what do you got? Oh, shopping carts. They would have this look of dread, like, oh my gosh, someone just kicked my dog, kind of dread, and it was hilarious. But that was because the way Landstar. Because here's the thing: if I'm at Landstar, okay, pay attention to this, Landstar drivers. If I'm at Landstar, the multi-stops is accessorial pay. At Landstar, you get 100% of your accessorial pay. And you get your fuel surcharge. So you're actually making more than the guy doing the one and done at 65% next to you. Know the system and learn how to utilize it. Randy and I were just talking about this because he was over at Landstar at one time. And so utilize that to your advantage. Know the system. And that's why the multi-stop shopping cart loads were so great for me. Because number one, it wasn't much of a deadhead to go out to Oklahoma where they were coming out of. And it was great. Lance, they used to be out of Wagner, Oklahoma. Darco, I think, or Arco or something like that. I can't remember the name of the company. They've changed names a couple of times, which is why I can't remember. But they're out of Wagner. Now, for a while in the spot market, on my last year of driving, I was picking up old shopping carts and taking them to Wagner. Because what they do is you bring them shopping carts, they repurpose them, they rebuild them, and then they get sent as new shopping carts. They don't just destroy them. Now those are a little bit messier, but they're still great loads. Usually those are one and done, but I would look. So what I would do, Lance, every time I was home, I would constantly have a search on Wagner to anywhere. Now, there was a time where the prices were competitive, and then the other agents were scamming in on it, and it became a race to the bottom, which I've talked about in my Landstar video. But for the most part, if you knew how to utilize the multiple stops, the other thing that was my bread and butter was multiple stop firework loads because it was hazmat. And I have experience with hazmat firework loads multi-stop from the company I was with. Those were big money as well. And so a lot of times, instead of negotiating an overall price, like, okay, you've got this posted for $3,000, I'll do it for $4,000. You're not doing that. You're like, okay, how about you do X amount, and then each stop pay is X amount. And there you go. That's why a lot of spot carriers don't give you 100% of stop pay, because they know that, because they know that's a way that the driver can make money. TJ remembers picking up shopping carts from closed Kmart's. Yeah, those probably were destroyed. Have you seen where they have a band out of a cow pasture? And I don't know. They had like saxophones and set drums. Cows run off, and then they come back and watch. Yeah, cows are drawn to music. There's an old Nordic tradition of where these women would do this culling call, and it would actually attract the cows. So, good morning. I am in Phoenix, dry van. Well, let's take a look. Let's see what you're up against here. So let's click on find loads. Mark, let's do this. Phoenix as going anywhere. Switch this to, we'll do it for today and tomorrow. Switch this to van. Apply. And you can haul 46,000 pounds if you need to, right? All right, let's sort this by highest posted rate. See where all the long haul's going. Pennsylvania, $1.74 to Pennsylvania. $2.19 to go to Portland. $2.02 to go to Kent. A lot of stuff going to Texas. Here's Goodyear to St. Louis. They're only at $1.58. Venture Connect, which they tend to do that. They tend to drive the rates down. But that'd be better than like one of these. Let's look at one of these PA loads. Like if you don't want to go northwest and you absolutely had to go east, this one picks up at 8 a.m., 13% below cost per day. Now, Cargo She's got this at 47, so they're considerably lower. Need a plate trailer, which shouldn't be a problem for most of you. Empty cans, so it's going to be light. More likely this is a contract that Venture has with this particular can company. But I would definitely get them up on the rate on that one. I wanted to look at the tolls on this. See, I would rather have this out of going to Missouri. Less tolls. Yeah, $267 in tolls. F that. All right, so Litchfield Park to Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. See, that would be where you would take your hit. Let's take a look at this Goodyear to St. Louis. Venture Connect. So I imagine these are beer can loads. A little bit less per mile, a little bit less per day. But, again, they're about $500 lower consistently, like they were the Pennsylvania loads. Plate trailer, empty cans. So this is probably going to Budweiser there in St. Louis. So, but then St. Louis is a good spot to land. So, you're only looking at 3 days. But maybe you want something a little bit heavier because of the wind. You're going to be seeing some breezes and some weather. So, let's see. Best Bay's got this Tolleson to Edwardsville. So, basically the same area. See what we got going on here. 13% below cost per day. $24.50. Cargo Cheese got it at $27.52. Green Screens has got as high as $31.46. But they're going with the low end of Green Screens, which is your AI energy drink. So it's going to be heavy. It's going to be 40. Yeah, they're at 44. So 42 to 44. And then you got to worry about freeze protect in some of these areas. Well, maybe not in this areas, but at least getting out of there. You do have some snowfall going on. They're off of 40. So, delivers Friday at 5 a.m. So the land in St. Louis area at 5 a.m. So that could be a good load. Now the Edwardsville, that could be Amazon. So you'd want to make sure. There are some receivers in Edwardsville that take forever. And no tolls on that one. Well, no, there will be. There's Oklahoma on 44 there. So about $40 in tolls. And then you got Levine, Arizona, Muskegon. Sorry, Muskegon. Sounds like a kaiju. Picks up at 9 a.m. today. 10% below cost per day. There's no rate check information on this one. Mom Sanquigini is your contact. Containers. So 10,000 pounds. So a light load going up to Michigan. But man, that's not. Look at this though. Picks up April 1st and doesn't deliver till April 17th. So there's something awry with this one. That's why it's 109% below cost per day. So I don't know about that one. And then there's a lot of loads popping up. Phoenix to Chino. A lot of loads coming out of Arizona going to California that don't pay worth a squat. Like here's Phoenix to Silmar, $1.03 a mile, $400. That's your backhaul. So you got a few options. I would grab one of them empty can loads and to St. Louis, get them up a little bit on the price, and you're good to go. Romeland Services, good morning. So let's take a look at California outbound. We got to let me get back to van here. And again, just because it's green, Arizona just lit up again. Went from yellow to green. So let's see. Let's go to California here. Let's see what's coming out of California. Let's see if they can justify paying $1.13 to $1.30 to go in. All right. Riverside to North Carolina. $1.68 a mile, $4,200. $31% below cost per day. And they're not too far from the cargo chief. So this is what these loads have been going for. $31,000, basically 32,000 pounds. Yeah, $248 a day for this load. All right, so if we look at, so let's do this. Sort by the highest rate per mile. Okay. San Bernardino to Nevada, Las Vegas, $3.79 a mile. So here's what you can do. Let's say you want to run short. $37% above cost per day. Let's say you can score these for about $900 a day. They're $875. Cargo Chief's got $1,025. Wire mesh. So it's going to be sloppy, but let's take a look at this. I'm going to copy this. Copy. So what you can do, go to market rates. And put in this market. Oh, let's put this for van. Get rate. So they're saying it's about $373 a mile or $849. You're looking at about $200 in fuel. Fuel cost is going to be higher because the cost of fuel out there. Right? Negotiating strength is strong. Cargo Chief's got about 1,000. Now, there's 5 loads to Las Vegas from San Bernardino, and then there's 12 loads out of Vegas going this, There's 5 loads to Las Vegas out of San Bernardino, And then out of Vegas, there's 12 loads back to San Bernardino. So let's take a look at the rate. So let's reverse this search here. Get rate. Oh, look how much it drops. See what Cargo Chief loads it up at. 630. So you're looking at almost a little almost half to go back. But these are decent numbers down here as far as, so you can almost make a back and forth scenario on this. So if you're making 1,000, let's go by Cargo Chief completely. If you're doing 1,000 to Vegas and 630 back, and this is only 228 miles, and you're looking at about $200 in fuel. Man, that's high. So in 2 days, you're making 1,630. 1,630 divided by 2 is what, 800 a day? Minus fuel, you're at 600 a day minus your whatever your percentage is from the carrier. So let's do that math. So if you're doing 1,600 a day, or not 600 a day, 800 a day, times 0.8, 640 minus $200 in fuel, you're looking at $440 a day net. Can you survive off that? That's what your truck payment, your insurance, your home, your salary or your home expenses, all have to come out of that. $440 a day. Can you survive off that? So would this be a good lane back and forth? Maybe, maybe not. Right? This is what you have to look at. So let's go back to van. Let's go back to California. But that's how you find your best paying lanes. Here's Los Angeles to Mound Ridge, Kansas, $209 a mile. I don't even know where Mound Ridge, Kansas is. Let me take a look here. Looks like it's not too far from Wichita. So you're looking at 19% above cost per day, above my cost per day, $2,900. Cargo Chief's got it at 31. Let's say we got him up to $3,000 on this. So let's do LA. Let's do LA to Mound Ridge. Mound Ridge, Kansas. Get right. 2164. Wow. So they're above that. They're at 27 on Cargo Chief. So let's go by that number. 20 let's call it just 2800. But there's not a whole lot of loads. And there's not loads going back. So this would not be a good lane regardless. Because of price and because of volumes. And historically, it's all over the place. It's been as low as 2020. It was 1810, and as high as $4,000 in 2021. That's a huge upswing, and that was when we were getting all crazy with the rates there. So is there a good paying load out of California? Well, not long haul. So let's put this on van. Apply. Bear in mind that today is April Fool's Day, says Old School. Today I've thrown my hat into the ring to run for president 2024. Good deal. Good luck with that. Chris Howard says we'll vote for you. Good to see you. Good to see you, Britt. All right, so let's go back to California there. Now, let's do the highest rate per mile. This will bring up the short stuff. Now, we determined that Vegas would be okay. But let's take a look at this Colorado. Torrance, California to Aurora, Colorado. Let's say that we're not afraid of snow. Live Logistics, which tend to not post on load boards a whole lot. And when they do, you're just getting a link to their parade site. It's got 2 stops, West Valley City to Aurora. So you want to check the mileage, see what the rate per day, but they're 99% above cost per day. Telcon equipment, so this might be a one and done kind of a deal. Obviously, that they got you going around 70. You're not dealing with that mess on 70 there. All right, so no tolls, fuel. Let's see what the fuel profit is on this. Fuel cost is on this. $936 in fuel estimated. There's only 3 loads going right back to California. Let's take a look at this, see what that rate looks like. No posted rates, but the previous rates look like $1.17, $1.38, $1.38 to go from Denver to Riverside, which is that's par for the course, really. So let's say you get this load for $39. No, we'll go there. Now, California, Arizona is a good lane, but then coming back, you're going to take your hit. It's a backhaul lane, which we saw earlier. But like I said, I know a driver that goes Georgia, Florida back. That's all he does. Sometimes he makes money coming back from Florida. Sometimes he just goes back empty. And if you can treat, if I lived in this area, I would treat California, Arizona the same way. Nomadic Brit says he's bringing back fish and chip shops. I didn't know they went away. We've got one here in Springfield. Tolga says Snorelord said good luck with that because he's actually supporting my Dictato presidential campaign. So, Mac Britt says porridge for breakfast will be brought in. So yeah, your best rate per mile is going into Arizona, which is another green state here. So you probably do okay with that. And of course, you're always getting paid to go up to the Northwest. So Salem, Oregon, and then New Mexico, but then good luck getting out of New Mexico. So that's where you got to create a triangle, right? Or you're deadheading Texas, pretty much, like El Paso area. Old School says lack of sleep might be making Tolga loopy. So, all right, we never have looked at the other platforms, so let's take a look at Reefer here. And then we'll also go to California on Reefer. See if they're paying to go in and out of California on Reefer. Look at all these states turn green on the Reefer side. California, Washington, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. New Mexico's got 89 outbound, 24 inbound. So if you have a reefer, New Mexico's a better place to have. Or if you're New Mexico's a little bit better for you if you have a reefer trailer. Let's just say that. North Hollywood to Las Vegas, $513 a mile, $1,400. Let's see what's going on with this one. Imagine it's multiple stop. Well, it doesn't say. They're way above cargo chief. Okay. Must deliver same day. 273 miles. And that's a good payday. 144% above cost per day. So let's sort this by highest rate. Let's see where the long haul's going in California for reefer. Here we go, $227 a mile, Santa Maria to Freetown, Massachusetts, $227 a mile, $7,300. Let's see if this is multi-stop. It looks like A to Z's got quite a few things going to Massachusetts. Oh yeah, multi-stop. Multi-pickup. Look at that. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pickups. My guess is this is produce. And that's why they're almost $1,000 above rate check there. But, again, that could be accessorial pay for you if you haven't break it down correctly. They got a bunch of those. So they're actually not paying bad out of California for reefer. So what we can do is we go to market rates here. Let's do Los Angeles to let's do Atlanta. Let's say you want to make I-20 your bitch. All right. So get rate. Oh, no, we need this on reefer. Hold on. Get rate. 45.54. 39.43. So they're actually paying a little bit more than that on these loads posted. But let's say so it's only off a 10 report. So this is probably going to be much higher. They're at 49.20. I would say probably, let's say you're doing $5,000. And we verse this. Oh. They're at 49 on that one too. Huh. This is all over the place. But you can use this tool to find your triangles as well. Obviously, there's no loads going right back to Los Angeles, but there's 52 going anywhere. There's only 2 coming out of Los Angeles going to Atlanta, but there's 157 going anywhere. So, like I said, California reefer seems to be paying a little bit better. All right, let's take a look at flatbed and step deck. Steve, description says you bought a truck. Yeah, April Fools. If I told my wife I was going to buy a truck, she's like, we have to have a talk. All right, so California and Oregon have lit up green on flatbed step deck, but I won't even look at this. Well, maybe I will. Let's take a look what's coming out of Oregon. Let's sort this by highest rate per mile. Rate per mile. See what that's doing. A lot of $350 days. So unless you're getting 2 or 3 of those a day, which is a lot of work, by the way, it's not worth it. So it's not a great short haul market. So let's look at the overall rate. $6,000 to go to Baltimore. Probably not much profit in that one. Let's take a look at that one because of fuel and tolls. And the Baltimore issue. There's that. Cargo Chiefs got it 55. It's been as high as 78. They're putting some money on this, $6,000, obviously, because what we saw last week is that they're putting more money on these loads going into Baltimore. Now, take a look at the toll cost, though. $399.25 in tolls. So let's just round that up to $400. $400 in tolls on this load. And you're looking at about $1,600 in fuel. It's only 30. It's only 5% above my cost per day. But my cost per day would be different if I had a flatbed and step deck. Britt says now leaving New York, heading to Alabama, but we'll be listening. You're going to see some interesting weather this week, Nomadic Britt heading down there, so just be careful. So now, if you want to go to Wisconsin, looks like you're not even breaking $2 a mile. But hey, let's take a look at this Lakeview to El Paso. And we've been at this an hour and 37 minutes. I need to get off here. They're at 38. Cargo Chiefs got at 31, so they're upping the rates on this. So flatbed rates should be increasing from what I've seen. Now, the thing about El Paso is that you're also getting the trucks from New Mexico, so that soft market softens up that El Paso area as well. No tolls. You're netting about $677 a day after fuel and percentage. I've got 20% in here as the dispatch fee. That's the percentage the company gets. You know, if you're at Like Trucking, so 80-20 company. So, but Texas is green. So if you look at the outbound market of El Paso, I would look at that first. Now let's take a look at inbound Oregon. 59.12 to come out of PA. Indiana, you're getting 4,700. There's 2,500 go from California to Oregon. So California, Oregon seems to be a decent lane. Well, I say that, and then here's a couple of cheapies. But what's up, the Hool? All right, so I'm out. Guys, I hope everyone has a good week. That's it. That's all I got. Strength for today, over for tomorrow. Peace. We'll see you Wednesday.